Former President Clinton is penning a memoir focused on his life after leaving the White House, promising a candid look at his successes and mistakes he made along the way. Citizen, My Life After the White House will be released November 19th, just 2 weeks after Election Day. Publisher Alfred A. Knopf announced Thursday. The memoir, Clinton said in a statement, is the story of my 23 plus years since leaving the White House, told largely through the stories of other people who changed my life as I tried to help change theirs, of those who supported me, including those I loved and lost, and any of the mistakes I made along the way. A life in public service can be deeply rewarding if you accept that in the constant ebb and flow of a history, there are no permanent victories or defeats, the former president continued. And never forget that every life is a story that, regardless of time and circumstance, deserves to be seen and heard. I knew as I entered this new chapter of my life that I'd keep score the way I always have. Are people better off when you quit than when you started? Do our children have a brighter future? Are we coming together instead of falling apart? He added. In the book, Clinton will touch with breathtaking honesty on the Iraq War, his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and her 2016 presidential campaign, Russian President Vladimir Putin, the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. The 77-year-old former commander-in-chief wrote his autobiography, My Life, in 2004, 3 years after he left office. The publisher of Citizen dubbed the 42nd president's memoir a rare and unflinching look at life after presidency, saying it gives fascinating insight into Clinton's life, both personal and political. Drawing on hard-won wisdom from over 50 years in politics, Knopf said in an announcement touting the book, Clinton pens a clear-sighted account of American democracy on the global stage, showing just how we got here and how we might embark on the road ahead. Clinton, in a message posted on X, formerly Twitter, called the project a labor of love Thursday and said he couldn't wait to share it with everyone in November. So, as someone who is not a Clinton fan by any means, I'm very interested in reading this because, generally speaking, we don't get presidential memoirs after retirement. The only other one I can think of is Carter's Life After. What was the book called? Waging Peace, I believe. He wrote in 2007, so it's kind of outdated, but we're probably not going to get a sequel to that. So it's really rare for presidents to, even the ones with long retirements, like actually talk about that period where they're no longer in office, because their time in office is the overarching thing that seems the most consequential thing they ever did, for most of them anyway. And it's crazy to think that, I don't know, I guess I figured if Clinton were to do something like this, it would be until after 30 years out of office, which is not that far away. It's like 7 years left until he hits that very rare milestone that only Carter and Herbert Hoover have been able to reach, of just 30 years of retirement, 30 plus years. But it'll be interesting to see what because I can't remember what he did, for example, during the 2004 election cycle. I know that he had a very contentious initial back and forth or relationship with Obama during the 2008 cycle, and of course the falling out with Ted Kennedy in relation to that. It'll be something if he's actually honest and talks about stuff where, because he can't do a memoir like this and not mention, yeah, my wife ran for president and lost to a game show host, who I used to be friends with back in the day. It's like you can't write something like this and not mention that. So if he mentions that, I'll be very fascinated to see what the I guess remembrances are of that period. But what I'm most excited for, but I'm doubting he'll touch on it, is the because people will not admit this, but there was a period starting in 2017 when that Me Too stuff really started picking up, to maybe just a few years ago, where Clinton was like hiding in a bunker. You couldn't find him anywhere, because when the women thing came out, people started going back to Lewinsky Gate and all the other controversies, Anita Broderick and the rest of them. And that led to him kind of withdrawing from the public for several years, to where I was actually surprised they even were willing to do a fundraiser with him, for Biden to want to be associated with him at this point. But, my point is that you can see how that affected him from how minimally involved he was with the 2020 election cycle, where he wasn't even like campaigning. He only addressed the convention on I think on tape, and that was it. Um, just completely withdrew from that cycle entirely, and it was very rare to and almost unheard of to see an ex-president be so uninvolved with something like that. So he really has had his ups and downs in retirement. I mean, let's not forget he almost died from that heart attack back in, what was that, 2004? And it'll be fascinating to see if he addresses any of this stuff in an honest way. Now, of course, I wouldn't be surprised if you read this book and it goes from 2017 to 2020 with like no, he'll probably have some shots in there about Trump was dumb for doing it, but as far as addressing his own foibles and the fact that he did recede from public view for a bit after the Me Too stuff started picking up, I don't think he's going to go into that. But you know, I'm still fascinated to see what's all in there, if there's even anything there that's worth reading to begin with.